Okay, so let's get started. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining AutoLink's first webinar. We're super excited to kind of do this and sort of talk about our journey as an organization, things that we have learned, and how you can introduce digital marketing within your business or how you can build your career in digital marketing. So let's get started. So who is AutoLink? So AutoLink is a company that I started about 2.5 years ago, and so I thought I'd talk a little bit about my journey in digital marketing and how I got to this point. So when I was graduating college, or sorry, before that, when I was actually entering college, I've realized that there's a lot of potential to do things online. So this was around 2013, 2014, and I saw that a lot of companies are blowing up by either selling products online or are acquiring customers through digital channels. And without any knowledge of this, I realized that I kind of wanted to be involved and learn about the space. So when I was moving back to India to start university, like you, a lot of you guys went on Internshala and applied for a lot of internships, and I got a ton of rejections until finally a dating app, which was looking for an intern to help them with sales and marketing activities, liked my application, and so I joined them as an intern for their dating app. And it was a really cool experience because this was a company that wanted to create something exclusive, and this was around the time that Tinder and Truly Madly and all these other dating apps were launching their platforms. And so these guys wanted to differentiate themselves by creating localized events. And I had absolutely no idea about apps, websites, how to get customers, how to even interact with people. But I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I started off by organizing events, and we basically try to get 10, 15 people to an event. Now, the first question that comes into mind is, how do you get in front of 10, 15 people? And so we started running Facebook ads and Google ads and email campaigns. And it was my first introduction into all of these different sort of activities and facilities that you could use to get people sort of interacting with you. And it was a learning process, right? There was things that worked, things that didn't work, but it was a startup. So we were all super involved in what was happening. And it was great to work with the founding team as well. 6 months later, we were at a point where I was sort of running all of their marketing events. We had, at least 2 events running every week. And it was an awesome experience because we figured out a way through Facebook and Google ads to try to get people to our events. And once they were at our events, they started downloading our application. So it was without even realizing, we had created a really organic funnel of bringing a lot of attention towards our application through real life events. And those events were great for us for content. When we post videos and pictures, it would drive even more people for the next set of events to attend. And while I was working at the dating app, and it was really cool, I realized at that point that there's a massive potential to do this with a lot of businesses. And so I saw a potential to kind of create a platform for musicians to connect with other musicians, because at that point I had just moved back and I play the drums and I couldn't find other people to play instruments with. And that's how all cool problems or cool business ideas are come up with, is identify a problem that you or someone faces, right? It's the easiest way to do it. What differentiates big businesses and small businesses is how many people are afflicted with that problem and how well you can solve it. So my problem was pretty small. I wanted to sort of find people to jam with or play music with. And so what I decided to do was, build a music platform where you could connect musicians with other musicians. And these were budding artists. These were bands looking for who had vacancies, looking for musicians to tie up with. These were individual musicians looking to sort of connect with other people. And I launched the platform with absolutely no idea what I was doing. And it was very cool because there was a musician called Parabeats, which is the name of our platform, which happened to shout us out. Completely random. I wish I could take credit for this, but it was just something that kind of we got lucky with. He saw the platform, liked it, and shouted out, had a decent SoundCloud following at the time. And once he did that, the incoming traffic onto our platform blew up. So we had around, I think at one point we had 15,000 people, daily active users on the platform, 100,000 total signups. And mind you, this was like 6 weeks in of launching it. And it was super cool to see musicians from Germany and Punjab and all these different places connecting with each other through our platform. Now, what I very quickly realized was, although we had done that initial bit, we really struggled to capitalize on that. So what we weren't able to do was continuously update and upgrade the features. And so from thinking of this as a business model, we realized that it's probably better if we run this as a social platform instead and not try to monetize it, which is kind of cool for us because we just had a bunch of people using the platform, and it was like a great learning experience in realizing what the value of that is. Because at one point we had investors who were like, okay, this is really cool. How do we monetize this? And that wasn't our goal, but it was a great learning experience. From there, I realized that what I was lacking was understanding the basics of digital marketing, right? Like I had done all these random tasks with Parabeats, with Miolo, which is the dating app, but I didn't really know what I was doing, right? Like I had used Facebook ads and Google ads, but there was no sort of plan of or dedicated plan of action to doing this. So I took the very simple decision. I humbled myself and I joined the shittiest, and to be really honest with you, like the shittiest digital marketing company that I could find online. And I didn't purposefully do that. It was just the only one that would be willing to hire, a 19-year-old who's done a couple of projects on the side. So I joined this company and I wanted to learn about sales and how to communicate with people. So it was a crazy 3 months where I was cold calling, knocking on people's doors, trying to sell them basic things like, can we do Facebook posts for your restaurant? And literally for 10,000 rupees, people would be like, get lost. Why are you calling me? And this was, you have to understand. So this was 2014, 2015. All of this for most people was relatively new. A lot of people didn't understand the value of what content or, social media could bring. So convincing these people when I was learning about it myself was a huge challenge. But in that process, I realized that, wow, this is really beneficial because we started seeing results for our clients. And this small, really inefficient, badly run digital marketing company with, the lowest of quality graphics and content and services was still getting clients. And I was like, yo, I got to do this myself. Like there's something else here. This is something where, you know, I can do this a lot better. Basically, is the dumb thought I had, which I think everybody at some point is like, I can do this better than everyone else. And so with that thought, I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. So, and at that time, my friend was building a startup himself, and he was like, we get on calls quite often on like, how do we get investors? What is the business problem we're solving? And it boiled down to, and for what his purpose was, he needed to get in touch with a lot of students, and students who were, either MBAs or, undergraduates or even high school students, because this platform was essentially like an intern platform for them. And so we kind of figured that LinkedIn might be a great opportunity for this. And so we built a scraping tool, which is essentially, and I'm sure some of you have come across this, it's a bot where you get a message in your inbox from someone saying hi with your name and then like a little bit about their company. So we happened to be one of the first people who built and started using this. So it was a LinkedIn bot, and it was a great way to interact with your target audience, because as some of you may know, that LinkedIn is a great place to, you can really search the type of audiences you want. So you can filter it down to CEOs in a specific location who might work in a specific industry. And so when we would find a client or a customer and talk to them about their business, we were very accurately able to tell them, hey, we can get you in front of a potential customer. And that's where the first sort of realization that your job in digital marketing, or if you want to enter this field, is connect your client, connect your business owner, connect your own business with your customer. Just try to get in front of them in some way or the other, raise awareness. And so the way we did this was through personalized inbox messages on LinkedIn. And we were able to send 100 to 200 messages a day for each of our clients. And this tool was great in the sense that we were able to get a lot of clients from different places. So and the way we did this is very simple. I mean, I took a screenshot of the LinkedIn analytics that we have of like, connections going through the roof, which at that point was pretty much unheard of. And we just posted it on Facebook groups. Didn't reinvent the wheel. We posted it on Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, emailed people saying, hey, we have this tool. Would you be interested? And we offered it a 1 week or two-week trial to kind of get people sort of working with us. And this allowed us to get in touch with a lot of businesses across the globe. So it was people in California, people in San Francisco, people in the UK, people in India, of course, and people in Thailand, Asia, all over the place. And we were charging them $100, $200 a month. So it's very cost effective, 5,000 rupees, and you can get in touch with potentially 5,000 of your customers in a month. And it was a cool value proposition. And so for 6 months, we built this business where we had a ton of different clients. And, I think we were making around 2 to 3 lakhs a month doing this with basically no cost. And this is where the first sort of issue I realized coming up was, great, we had this tool, but we were literally not doing anything else. We were not a company. We were not a solution. We just had a tool, a product we were offering. And we honestly just got lazy and we didn't really bother to do anything else. Because what's important to understand in digital marketing is, you might be selling a specific service to someone or a business owner, but for that business owner, he doesn't care. His goal is to, most likely his goal is he wants to get more customers, or he wants to build his online presence, or he wants to launch a new product in his market. So if you're not offering him solutions that envelop that goal or are not an end-to-end solution, and you're just offering him one method to do that, I guarantee you that is going to be a short-term customer. And that's exactly what happened for us. 6 months, we were flying high, making money, everything was going great, thinking we're going to become millionaires. And 6 months in, 15 of our clients were like, thanks, Himanshu, this has been great, but we're going to leave your service. And I had 15 clients drop out at the same time, from making a couple of lakhs a month to making exactly zero 6 months later. And it was just like, shit, this entire time we should have been capitalizing on the value that we were adding to people, which was the lead generation that we were doing for them. And so right after that, I realized that, okay, what's important is providing an end-to-end solution, right? It's not enough to give people leads. You have to help them funnel those leads. You have to help them remarket those leads, and you have to help them acquire those leads as well. And it's hard to do these things. It's easy to say that, look, let's help a business. There's a lot of research. Like, for example, when we acquire a client, we're very specific of what the client should have. We tell them that you need to give us detailed feedback. You need to be aware of what your product fit, market fit, and customer target is. And then only then do we go about doing the research before we start any activities. So, it's easy to say, let's get you more clients, but actually having a plan and a breakdown and the ample amount of research that's required to do that is what really it comes down to. So essentially, that whole automation tool was a great jump start, but what we weren't doing is capitalizing on that jump start. And so that was a great experience in the sense that, like, I learned a lot from it. And just for anybody who's an intern or a student who's kind of learning things right now, forget the money, forget everything. If you are not learning something new, or you're not at a rapid learning curve, switch up what you're doing, because nothing else really matters at this point. And I strongly believe this, like, even now, right? Like, it should continue throughout your life and your career, is if you're not constantly learning and trying new things, then really what are you doing? Because you never know what could happen. And luckily for me, after this whole situation with this tool sort of happened, and I realized that, okay, we need to switch it up, I got an opportunity to work with a company in Thailand, in Bangkok. And it was a money transfer and exchange company. And the only reason they spoke to me was because they realized, okay, he's made the initiative to do some cool activity. So people, especially if you're looking for a job or a career in digital marketing, people really like people who have made an effort to do things. They do not care how much money you've made. They do not care finally what results you've achieved. If you've made the effort, that really counts a lot. So constantly try new things. Start your own Instagram page if you have to, do whatever. So yeah, just coming to this company in Bangkok. So it was a cool experience because they had a really cool product. They were a money transfer exchange. And if some of you might not be aware, but Thailand is a big tourism place, right? So people from across the globe are constantly visiting that city. And so what a lot of these companies do is that they transfer they exchange that currency for you. It's a very simple business model, but nobody was doing this through an app, and nobody was doing this, I would say, like, in a very easy method. Like, you'd have to go through a bank and it would be a hassle to do it. And so this company had a cool product, which one is super important, right? It's easy to market something which is an easy sell and has a built-in audience. And so what I simply did was I set up Facebook ads, and we built a lead form where people would see an ad of saying 100 and, transfer your money now at a cost-effective rate. And we geo-specifically target like a tourist hub. And we just had a ton of people who would see the ad and just basically fill out the form. So within 3 months, we generated some 650,000 leads, And although they had a good ad budget, they had a big marketing spend. So it was easier to do these things. Of course, if you have more money, it's easier to spend on marketing. But what was really important was that we took the qualitative efforts to make sure that we were funneling those people. So when they'd get an ad, they would get a lead form, which they'd fill out their contact information. And immediately we would have someone from the sales team contact them and make them register themselves for the application. And so essentially what I did was I created that entire funnel for them where you get a customer, which is at top of the funnel, and top of your funnel is like somebody is just looking at you. They've seen your LinkedIn post, they've seen your Facebook post. You want to guide them through that funnel through like maybe a lead form or some sort of activity. And then you want to remarket that person so that, suppose you call them and like, okay, you filled out my lead form. Would you be interested in buying my product? They're aware of who they're talking to. So without really having to, work with a massive team or a massive budget, we very cost effectively built a really cool sales funnel for this company. And to this day are still benefiting from that. So another point that I want to add here is that, when you're working for a business, like I understand, like short term, you want to be able to sort of sell services to someone. If you're interested in website or social media, you want to get started with those things, but really give people a long-term strategy as to how that's going to benefit them. Because most people, again, most businesses do not care. My own experience with clients is they want to see what the results are. And if you give them the process of how you're going to achieve those results, that's probably what's most important. So coming back to D-Money, it was a great experience. And so very organically, what had happened was we started getting referrals. Other business owners started mentioning us. People that I had previously worked with started shouting us out, and just kind of built our organization from there. We started adding more services that we thought were relevant. We stopped limiting ourselves in what we provided and just really looked at solving our customers' problem to our best of our ability. And now because of doing that for over a little over a year, a lot of the clients that we have, and this is rare for a digital marketing company, is that most of our clients have been with us for at least 6 months, if not longer. So we have a high retention rate, and our customers stick with us, which is the most important, because most digital marketing companies struggle to keep customers because they're looking at short-term activities. So yeah, key learnings are, look long-term, learn on the job, get someone to pay you to learn. That's the best you can kind of do when you're getting started in digital marketing. Okay. So yeah, I mean, like, why digital marketing, right? Like, I think all of you attending this webinar are pretty clear. You see it in some shape or way or value being added through digital marketing. And digital marketing is a huge term. It encompasses so many different activities, platforms, and things. Digital marketing essentially is a leveling playing field, right? You can be somebody with 0 Instagram followers who then builds an entire business through Instagram if you want to. If you put in the time, effort, and you find that curated audience that's willing to look at your content, you can build a business. For example, I have friends who, started with 100 Instagram followers and built, a fitness channel through YouTube and Instagram, and currently have over 500,000 followers and are making a lot of cash. But it took them years to do that. And when I talked to them about, like, how did you build this influencer audience, or what value do you think you add? The two things that they told me was the only two things we focus on is our content. So for them, it's fitness. So they're working on themselves, and we make sure that it's a daily grind. We're doing this, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. All they're doing is working out, and they're consistent. They have a schedule that 3 times a week they're going to be posting content, and whatever comes, they are sticking to that schedule. And basically that's what, so whether you're looking to, create your own brand, your own influencer campaign, or, whether you're looking to do this for a business, consistency and clear messaging and content is probably the most key attributes you can add to it. Right? Like, people want to know who you are more than anything else. And being authentic is really playing well nowadays as well. And the platform you choose is entirely dependent on what you're going after. So for example, like a lot of our clients are B2B clients. So LinkedIn is a primary channel for them. LinkedIn is a great platform. It's all real people and it's all professionals. Another great thing is, like, the tone is set that this is not for friends, this is for business. So having a business oriented platform really helped us for our own business, as well as like substantially helped our clients find customers that they can work with. But Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, none of these platforms are to be ignored. They all have their own value additions. And in fact, you know, depending on what you're doing, you could ideally focus on one, or you could go cross channel depending on what you're looking to do. Yeah. So I get asked this so often, right? Like, what can I do today to start? And for most people who haven't started anything, it's kind of tough to answer that because, you know, there's no point just setting up a Facebook page, posting 2-3 times, and then leaving it dead. You would rather want to have like a plan of action set before you start anything. Like with any sort of marketing campaign, you know, you want to know that in 6 months what your goal is and what you're trying to achieve, and then work backwards towards that. These tools and different hacks and sort of analytics tools are there to help track, analyze, and benefit the marketing campaign you're running. So for example, social media tools that we use, for example, Buffer is a great one. It makes life very easy when you're scheduling posts in advance. So what we do is, on a weekly basis, we kind of talk to the client about, you know, what it is that they want to post for this week or what is coming up. So for example, there might be a holiday or there might be an event that they're attending. So we want to kind of have that week's social media content related to that event or that holiday or something like that coming up. And Buffer allows you to schedule those tools. So like Buffer, there's so many of them. I mean, our automation tool was one great example. We also use Airtable, which is a project management tool. You know, there's an abundance of really cool softwares and applications, and it's pretty easy to find them. You literally just search what you're looking for and try them out and see what works best for you. For us, because we're managing a lot of social media platforms at a time, we like to use a variety of tools just depending on what the client needs. Social media hacks, I mean, look, there's no real hack to this. I know a lot of people like to say that, you know, there's a lot of ads that come up like, you know, 5 easy steps to grow your channels. There's no easy steps to grow your channels. It's consistency and clear messaging. That is the only hack that there is. Google Analytics, Facebook Analytics, we use a bunch of them, right? There's a bunch of analytics tools. These are important to set up in the beginning when you have 0 followers. One, because you learn to track and analyze the information and the data and the customers that are looking at your stuff. You know, you start uh, learning to actually value that information because it is important. Even 10 views on your LinkedIn post can tell you something. So making it a habit to use all of these analytics tools to, you know, find more information is extremely important as well. And obviously analytics plays really well, for example, if you're doing SEO and you're looking for keywords to rank for your business. So if you're a restaurant owner and you're based in a specific city, you might want to use specific keywords targeted, which include that location, maybe the type of food you have, and what's unique about you. So there's a ton of tools that do this, right? You can use SEO tools, you can use Afris to help, you know, with a lot of the research that you're doing. Yeah, and I mean, look, there is no end game here, right? There is no sort of agenda. Uh, there's no limitation. Let me put it that way with social media and digital marketing, right? We ourselves, all of us have examples of companies like Ola, Uber, uh, you know, Swiggy, Zomato. All of these companies essentially and effectively built a platform, launched it online, and then leveraged some form of digital marketing to build their customer audience. A lot of them, for example, Uber, highly leverage the fact that people tell their friends what they like doing. And so by creating an app which their friends were talking about, they were able to leverage digital marketing without even having to do anything because their product was, you know, so good and people liked it so much, their friends would talk about it. And they introduced a referral program which absolutely blew up the amount of downloads that they had when they were in their early stages. So yeah, I mean, cost effective ways of doing this, the most cost effective way is do it yourself, right? Like DIY. This stuff is pretty easy to learn and understand. There's forget courses and forget webinars like mine. You can literally do it yourself. Like just put what you think and what you try into practice. Set up an Instagram page, post it. If there's a business owner or a friend of yours who owns a business or who operates a business, or your father might, set it up for him and do it. You know, there's nobody stopping you. There's no limitations to any of this. So my best advice for if you want to do it cost effective is do it yourself, learn on the go, and continuously iterate and talk to people who might be able to help you. So for example, there's a lot of people who are willing to do consultations. I'm looking at possibly doing that with a couple of people as well, where, you know, you get someone to guide you, but essentially do it yourself. Otherwise you're paying someone else. And uh, for example, at AutoLink as a digital marketing company, we're not that cheap. When we do something for someone, we are all encompassing and we do provide value, but we do charge an amount because it's a lot of man hours and operations that goes into it. So yeah, if you want to do it cost effective, essentially do it yourself. So this is cool, right? Like I wanted to, we've talked about all this high level digital marketing stuff and I've gone through this example, but I wanted to talk about things that we're looking at today. Like what is happening right now that you as an intern, as a business owner, as a student can kind of capitalize on. And so we're going to go through a few of these examples right now. So this is cool, right? Facebook has recently set up their own shop. So this is essentially a way for you without a website, without any e-commerce, without any technical knowledge to start selling your product as fast as possible. And and they've launched this at a very good time where everybody's staying at home and a lot of business owners are struggling to sell their products who were physically reliant earlier. And they wanted to make it as easy and accessible as possible. So we have a short video sort of introducing that. 1 second. Yeah, so I thought we can just check this video out.
I'm Allison. I'm Jamie. And we're the owners of Incomplete Paper. We're a letterpress and paper goods company who prints on antique printing equipment, and we're really big proponents of the handwritten note. The shift to selling online, especially in the light of what's happening now with COVID-19, I think is absolutely vital. And I think businesses, small businesses, all businesses recognize the importance.
Facebook and Instagram represent one of the biggest ways that we visually communicate our brand to our audience and connect with them. Being able to highlight products that are in those shots just makes it that much easier for people to connect with. So they can see a product that they like, they can touch that product and add it to their bag right there. So it really is a true shopping experience. The process of setting up our Facebook shop went really smoothly. It's very well designed. Adding products was quite straightforward. They've got a great UI to simply add products one by one or import products to an XML file straight from our e-commerce site, which really helped us get a fully fleshed out store.
One of the features with Facebook Shops was the ability to set up collections. It allows us to kind of keep a collection going that is kind of new and fresh when our customers pop over, that they're seeing a constant update.
So, I mean, yeah, you get the point, right? Like it's, they've, what have they done, right? Like it's nothing new. E-commerce has been around since, I don't know, last 15, 20 years. What Facebook has done is they've capitalized on this situational point where, everyone is stuck at home. People are still actively, like e-commerce is blowing through the roof and they're like, we need to capitalize on this. And the way that they capitalize on anything, especially a behemoth like Facebook, is let's use the community to our best of our ability. This is targeted, and look, I mean, from just a marketing standpoint, like look at the audience that they have, right? Look at these people. They're two women who, little, I'd say mid 30s or something like that, and this is the target audience, right? They want stay home mom, they want women, some could say the opposite end of like the tech savvy audience. So people who find it difficult to use, maybe may find it difficult to set up a store on Amazon or set up their own e-commerce store. They're trying to make it as easy as possible to set up your shop. And if we look at the UI, for example, like what they're presenting, like this is really important, right? They're trying to focus on how simple it is to set up. And this is where the game really changes, right? Amazon, for example, is focused on business owners who want to sell their products. So they're looking at a bigger market. Facebook is talking about people within your, within your complex, within your sector, within your location, who want to sell products. This is targeted to, your dadi who might be making jams at home or something. This is easy for her to use, set up, and manage herself. And that's where the game or the whole sort of digital marketing world is moving towards, is can you do it yourself and is it easy to set up? And so great opportunity, great understanding as a case study is like, what can you provide to someone which is easy for them to do and use? A lot of our businesses, right? We have a lot of SaaS companies and sophisticated, tech savvy people who know exactly what they're doing. They tell us what they want to do marketing wise. But a lot of the business owners that we operate with are just non-tech, right? And when I say non-tech, like non-digital marketing, they barely know how to use social media or Facebook. So it's our job as a digital marketing company to use things like Facebook shops, to use things like Amazon, to help them sell their products better. And so that's where, if you're looking to build your career, what's important is, yes, have specific technical skill sets. Like, if you want to get into SEO, you have to know how to do meta descriptions. You have to know how to do a little bit of web development. But more importantly, it's important to know what is the easiest method of achieving your customers' results. If somebody comes to you as a business owner and says, hi, okay, I'm willing to pay you 10,000 rupees. You have to help me set up a store to sell my product. If your answer to that is, I'm going to spend 3 months to build a website, then honestly, you're an idiot, because you're going to lose out. That person is not going to work with you. You have to think of the easiest possible way of setting them up and then build it over time. Facebook shops as a business opportunity is a great, or even as a business opportunity, in fact, is a great way for you to go to every business owner within your, society, within your region, within friends and family, and say, you are selling products. Why not set it up on Facebook shops, and be the person who does that from them? Like, that is your value add as an individual in digital marketing. When I started out, I didn't really, build any massive product. We don't have any products or companies as such. What we do is we identify what are the latest trends, what is the latest things, and what are the easiest things going on that we can implement for our customers. So Facebook shops right now, if you haven't set it up, if you haven't explored it, go check it out. Find somebody you can sell it to, charge them 5,000 rupees, and you're on your way. You're starting in your digital marketing career. There's no bullshit internships, doing courses. All of this stuff is great for learning. But if you really want to get into the game, you really want to turn this into a business, or you really want to explore it, best way to do it is do it for someone, or do it for yourself if you have something that you want to sell. So yeah, Facebook shops right now, set it up. Don't waste time. So this is really cool, right? So a lot of us watched YouTube, right? There's like Carrie Minanti, there's tons of these YouTubers, influencers, people with millions of followers, and everybody is like, they probably make a lot of money, and it's true, right? Like through AdSense, through brand deals, influencers who have large social followings make a ton of cash. But what's important to understand with this example of Joe Rogan is how the game has changed for that. So I just wanted to explain this a little bit, right, before we get into specifically what it is. So if some of you may not know, but Joe Rogan is a very famous podcaster. He's a UFC commentator, which is that Ultimate Fighting Champion commentator. He used to be the guy who hosted Fear Factor back in the day, and he just does a ton of things. In all of this, he also started a podcast about 10-15 years ago, and I'm sure all of you know what a podcast is. I'm sure all of you have either watched one on a daily basis or have at least come across one. Right. So his podcast is one of the largest podcasts, like one of the most famous ones, and one of the largest ones in terms of like daily viewership. And so what has happened, and for the last 15 years, Joe Rogan has hosted his podcast on YouTube, and he has people like Elon Musk showing up, Denzel Washington. He has all these like massive celebrities who show up, and it's primarily to a Western audience, but it's the whole world watches him. I think he has like some 10-15 million people who watch his podcast. And so what's happened here is Spotify saw the value of content, and everybody has seen the value of content, right? Like, I'm sure some of you have heard of Gary Vaynerchuk, who's like, content is king. And a lot of people understand that like content is good. By content, you can do YouTube. But what people haven't realized till now is what the value of that content is. And so this is the first instance where a value has been assigned to content. $100 million is being paid to Joe Rogan to sell his podcast to Spotify. And what that means is, as someone who's a content creator, so if any of you are a content creator, or you're aspiring to become a YouTuber or an influencer or anything like that, I'm not saying you're going to make $100 million, but if you have enough of a viewership with a relevant audience for a specific business or a brand, they will pay you in cash, to kind of mention them and talk about them. And so this is obviously the billion dollar level of it, where Spotify is paying Joe Rogan $100 million, but in return, right? And this is where, like, this is the crazy bit. He gets $100 million. He's already rich. I'm sure he's happy. What the crazy bit here is that Spotify's stock price went up by $5 billion. Their market cap rose by $5 billion. So for $100 million investment, speculators, investment analysts, day traders, retail investors, realize that by them simply moving Joe Rogan's podcast over to Spotify, the amount of eyeballs that are going to be moved into Spotify, and they're also launching a video platform, is worth 50 times what they paid him. And this is where the game is changing. You, as a content creator or someone who is pitching content marketing to a business, can refer back and say, look how valuable content is. This is now, it's people have known about this, and a lot of people capitalized on this, like YouTubers and people like Joe Rogan. What has happened now is, for the average business owner, you can go back to this example and say, look, if you are not doing content marketing for your business, you are literally missing out on a digital gold rush. Content has become gold. If you have eyeballs looking at you through your digital platform, you can literally leverage that to make cash overhand. Forget everything else, right? Forget YouTube views. If you have a relevant enough audience, you can connect with a business to work with you on it. And we are now, as a digital marketing company, haven't really focused too much on content marketing. We have completely shifted all of our services to only focus on content. Our priority with all of our clients, and I would say this if you're trying to reach out to a business or you're doing this for your own business, is focus on content. Talk about your story, be authentic, talk about literally anything, get started. Because in a few years, if you're not leveraging social, you're not leveraging some form of digital, I truly believe, doesn't matter what industry you're in, if you're not doing this in some way, shape, or form, you're going to be irrelevant in the next 5 years. Your competitors will take over you in some way, shape, or form. So it's super important to leverage digital platforms. Joe Rogan's content marketing $100 million deal is something that you can take as, okay, the line has been set. It is time to get involved in some way, shape, or form. So I mean, just going off of that example, right? Like, again, like the future is changing, and it's very important to have a future outlook, right? Especially for sales, especially if you're trying to sell it to someone, as well as like to incorporate within your own business. Traditional businesses which rely heavily on human capital and people doing things are again going to be wiped out over the next 5 years. Whatever processes can be automated need to be automated, because that cost reduction gets pushed over to your end customer. And this we are seeing within AutoLink as well. At one point, we had a lot of different people on payroll who were working on a lot of small activities. Like, we'd have 5-6 graphic designers and tons of content writers, and I see a lot of businesses doing this as well. A lot of these things can be eliminated if you just have proper processes in place. Like, it doesn't even have to be as sophisticated as introducing artificial intelligence. You get there over time. Microsoft and Uber are tech giants, therefore they're introducing artificial intelligence today. For most business people, taking the basic step of even automating some of their processes, right? For example, using a bot to do things you were doing manually, or data entry that you were doing manually, or even like, a lot of people have full-time employees whose job is to find and filter emails. Like, even those things can be, you can get a scraping tool to do that for you. So my point here is that, especially in India with a lot of businesses, it's very easy to introduce some sort of technology or a software process that can help them make their business more efficient. And if you're looking at this from a digital marketing point of view, you might be like, I don't know about software, I don't know about technology, how does this apply to me? Well, the way this applies to you is going back to examples like Buffer and Hootsuite and all of these other scheduling or marketing-based apps. They're essentially efficiency and productivity tools as well. If you're introducing that for a business as well and making sure that they use it, you have basically done your job to helping that company be a part of this digital revolution that has already taken place, and now everybody's playing catch up to as well. So yeah, I mean, and what it's about nowadays is like, you have to personalize your marketing with your customers, right? Like, these are huge companies. EasyJet is a massive airline company in the US, in the UK and the US, that they have like thousands and thousands of people who fly through them every day. But what they were effectively able to do was send a personalized email campaign. And when I say personalized, it was probably just their name that was mentioned. But if you can somehow leverage some form of marketing to personalize that customer experience, your click, and this translates in numbers, right? Like, their click-through rate went up by 25%, and they had seen, like, I'm sure, a lot more conversions through that. And 25%, for those of you who haven't run an email marketing campaign before, is extremely high. You usually tend to see between a 2 to 5% click-through rate on email marketing campaigns. So yeah, customized marketing is very important. Talk to your target audience directly. Uh, Speak to them through your marketing campaigns, and try to think of campaigns or advertising strategies that you can launch, which keep them in the loop, right? Like people like it's a sense of community that you're trying to create essentially through personalized marketing. And what digital platforms allow you to do is do that through scale. So whether it's a refer a friend campaign, whether it's Coke's their name thing where they had names on Coke cans that you could submit online, these are just methods of connecting and creating that sense of community with your audience. Yeah so Starbucks, I mean, like Starbucks is coffee, right? And they're everywhere. Why would they need an app? Well, what they did was they gamified it, right? They built a model where you were rewarded for spending money on coffee. It's simple strategies like this that you can look at implementing for businesses. Obviously, we've taken huge examples of companies because theirs are very clear. Like, you can actually translate these into dollar values, but you can do this for small companies as well. Like, if you're working with a business that doesn't run a referral campaign, or is selling shoes or something like that, introduce strategies for them that they might be able to implement as well. Cost effective strategies that are easy for them to implement. Yeah, again, we just another great example, captivating your audience. And this is more towards not just digital marketing, but this is marketing in general, right? Like what is the point of all of this, right? You want to be able to talk to your direct customer. So hashtag choose beautiful was a great campaign. They had a lot of success with it, and their whole push here was authenticity. And that's what's key nowadays, right? You can't fake it anymore. You can't call yourself uh, a people oriented company if you're not showing people that you're people oriented. And the way that Dove has done this is through their Choose Beautiful campaign. So yeah, I mean, now this is more towards people who are looking to get started. um, Look, it's pretty clear, right? There's a couple of things that you have to do. You have to be able to give people short-term results and give them short-term objectives. So it could be as simple as that, as I'll set up your website and help you generate leads through Facebook or Instagram or Google. But what you then want to say at that point is that our long-term strategy is to convert all of that traffic into relevant leads for your business, which you can then convert over a 3 to 6 to 9 month timeline. You're doing two things here. You're ensuring yourself that you have set correct objectives for the business or your client that you're working with by saying, I will do the website this month, I will do social media next month, and I will do a marketing campaign the month after. So they know what's happening. You're also ensuring that that customer sticks to you for a long time. And that's where really things don't come down to it. Because if you by chance, and I'm telling you guys from experience, it's so fucking hard to get customers, right? Like it is 10 times easier to upsell to a customer, because what digital marketing essentially is a relationship building business. Unless you create some crazy Uber type of product, most businesses, and this is true for your clients as well, is 99% of it is relationship building. And relationships are built on someone trusting you that you're in it for the long term. So if you don't want to do that, right, all you want to do is set up websites for people, that's fine as well. But the only thing then you're going to have to do is make sure that you have a lot of people looking at your websites and you're getting a lot of referrals. And the way that happens is obviously quality work, quality assurance, be good to your customer, answer their questions, respond to their doubts, and give them what they want, right? Have clear expectations with what their needs are and what you can actually give them. So yeah, that's like how you present yourself, how you pitch yourself, and have a good portfolio, right? It's the easiest thing. I mean, if you don't have a portfolio, then get started. I mean, set up an Instagram page, start doing it for anybody you can. It'll take you a month to set up a portfolio if you actually put a lot of effort into it. If you want to be a content writer and you're waiting around for someone to tell you what to write about, you are already losing. So if you want to get into content writing, start writing content, set up your own blog, talk about movies, talk about whatever interests you, talk about your dog. If you want to set up an Instagram page, do whatever you have to, right? Like nobody cares about you. Be brutally honest. Like nobody cares about uh, um, how much effort you put in, whether you got a chance or not. And instead of waiting for somebody to give you that sort of option, or waiting for someone to give you that chance, do it yourself, because you'll have people come to you. And that's the best thing that you can do for yourself, is set yourself up for success. And strong portfolio, pitch yourself as someone who sees long-term value, set a strategy that you can execute, and obviously at the end of the day, create value for that customer. So be it through a website, be it through social media, be it through a blog, create value, make sure that that person, that customer really values what you're doing for them, because you never know where you could get a referral from. And yeah, that's our webinar. So we got a couple of questions, and I think what we can do is we can start answering a few of them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up a little bit as well, so that we can start, if people want to start asking questions, we can open that up as well. So let me just, how many people do we have? 15, very cool. Okay, so one first question we have is branding through digital marketing during current situation. So look, there's no two ways we're getting around this. Even our clients, a lot of them are struggling right now. Like a lot of businesses which are reliant on people meeting people are just going through a tough time. And what's obviously happening because of that is everyone is thinking, you know, I need to reduce my marketing costs, or I need to not be so, like, basically, you know, be more conservative. The way to flip this, or the way to think about this, is instead of looking this as a time to sort of acquire customers, you can start building your business's brand. So talk about your story, like pitch it to customers, or pitch it for your own business as like, this is a time where everybody is going through the same thing. So even talking about this situation and how it affects your business is a great way to start interacting with people. And you never know, those people might turn out to be your customers. So branding through the current situation, look, it depends entirely on what your business situation is. If you were smart enough to adopt some sort of digital model, I would say double down on that. So for example, if you're in the education space and you do, you did live training sessions, move it over to online, do Zoom calls, which a lot of people have adapted to, and push that forward. If your business is solely reliant on a physical business, for example, you're a car dealer, then push content about cars. Like what else can you really do, right? Like at the end of the day, this is going to end at some point. Life will resume back to normal. Just be prepared to capitalize on that. This is an opportunity for all of us to kind of reset the way we do things and maybe make it a little better. Okay, so we got a specific question. Why SEO Yoast guidelines differ from that of Google guidelines? In the end, Google search engine is Google. Should we follow Google or Yoast? So they overlap. So for those of you who don't know, Yoast is essentially, it's a WordPress press plugin. And it's used to, you know, create meta titles, meta tags, meta descriptions, to optimize your website, to make sure that essentially Google is able to crawl it. And for those of you who don't know, for SEO, the only thing really that you're trying to do is get Google to rank your website, right? Like, as we all know, if you're on the first page of Google, you have a better chance of getting in touch with your customers. And Yoast plugin is an app essentially that helps you do that better. A lot of the guidelines between Yoast and Google overlap. So although you should follow Yoast's specific guidelines on how to do things, you never want to do anything that's going to cause damage to your Google ranking. So as long as you're not offending Google's ranking, like, you know, you don't have broken links, you don't have bad text, you don't have like a lot of profanity, and yeah, Google is very strict on profanity on your webpage, you'll be fine. Okay, so another question is, what type of digital marketing should we proceed as an internship? That's a tough question. Depends what you want to do, essentially. I mean, there's no limitations with digital marketing. You could be somebody who does development, design, content marketing, or if you want to be specific, you can just do content marketing. I mean, essentially, it's up to you. Try it out. There's no harm in trying different things and learning from your experiences. Okay, so this was the question that I really wanted to address, is like, how can we make digital marketing scalable and autopilot mode? So, Amrit, this is a great question. If you happen to answer this question, please let me know, because I guarantee you'll be a billionaire in no time. There's no way to automate digital marketing or sales activities, because if you could, what would be the point of doing any business? What you can do is automate processes specifically within that, like I touched upon with Buffer and some of these other tools. but you can't automate getting customers, right? That will never happen. The methods, the processes, the avenues, the platforms, the delivery mechanisms, all of these can change and become better, but you can never automate it. You will have to make some form of effort or plan or strategy to get a customer at the end of the day, which is essentially what digital marketing is for. Yeah, again, for beginner, which digital marketing parameter is best for a start in your career, like SEO, SEM, PPC? Again, try it all out. No one activity is going to help you be successful, especially as a digital marketing person. People usually want you to have at least a general understanding of different activities. Now, what you specifically do is entirely up to you and what you enjoy and stuff. But yeah, I would say like try to learn about all of them and see what fits you, your personality type, your skill sets best. So this was a good question. How to make a blog effective? Only way to make a blog effective is post content that you like to start with, and then maybe an audience later on. Take feedback from people and iterate your content based on what people are telling you that they enjoy doing. If you mean how to make a blog make you money, there's Google AdSense, which is Google's way of having publishers advertise on your platform. So you can, I mean, anybody can sign up with that for a Gmail account. Just literally Google AdSense. Yeah. So it's like the last question, and then I think we can either open it up. People can ask questions on the chat if they want to. But so, what is the most important things in digital marketing? Most important things in digital marketing is, just make sure that you're being consistent with it. There's no point posting 2-3 times on Facebook and then leaving it. You have to be consistent. You have to be, yeah, actually, I would say consistency is probably one of the most important things. You can always make your content better over time. Okay, so this was so where can we learn the full course for free? To this day, I still use YouTube for a lot of stuff that I don't know and I want to learn about. Sure, you can do the same, whatever your questions are. If you happen to find a course which is paid, um, education is something that should never be skimped on. So if you think it's worth it, I'd say pay for it as well. But otherwise, use YouTube as much as you can. Okay, so I think that wraps it up for the questions. So thanks everyone for attending this webinar. If there's any more questions, and if you have, you can either drop it in the chat, or what we'll do is we'll email everybody with another form or something like that, where you can sort of fill out your questions. But yeah, thanks everyone for attending this webinar. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, keep in touch. Thanks.